For nearly 2 decades, Dustin Johnson's presence at the Open Championship felt as certain as the tides. He made his debut at Turnberry in 2009 and never missed a single edition since. 70 consecutive majors, an astonishing streak that spanned 18 years of his professional career. But now that streak is over. In a stunning decision that has sent shockwaves through the golf world, Johnson has withdrawn from final qualifying for the Open at Royal Birkdale, joining 2 other LIV Golf players who have pulled out of the 36-hole shootout. The PGA Tour is stunned, LIV Golf is reeling, and the questions are mounting. What does this mean for the future of the breakaway league? And more importantly, what does it say about the players who abandoned the PGA Tour for guaranteed money and now find themselves with nowhere to play? For 18 years, Dustin Johnson walked the fairways of the Open Championship. He made his debut as a 24-year-old at Turnberry in 2009 and never looked back. Through the wind, the rain, the brutal links conditions, he always showed up. He won in 2012 at Royal Lytham and St. Annis and finished in the top 10 multiple times. He was a fixture, a constant presence in the game's oldest major. But now, that streak has come to an abrupt and shocking end. Johnson had entered final qualifying for the Open at Royal Birkdale, the last chance for players without exemptions to earn their spot in the field. He was listed as the headline name at Dundonald Links in Scotland, one of 4 qualifying venues where 5 spots are up for grabs. Then, sometime over the weekend, his name disappeared from the tee sheet. The reason? According to Bob Herrig, who first reported the withdrawal, it was simply the logistics. Johnson's agent explained that qualifying meant flying to Scotland, playing 36 holes in one day, and then having nowhere to be for 2 weeks before the actual tournament started. LIV Golf is currently on a 7-week hiatus, with no events scheduled in Europe around the Open. The league's next tournament isn't until after the major, at JCB Golf and Country Club in the UK. But the decision raises uncomfortable questions. Johnson had been in good form, making the cut at all 3 majors this season and recording back-to-back top 5 finishes on LIV Golf. At the US Open, he said, "Finally, the last couple months, I feel like the game is starting to come back into form and swinging it really nicely." Yet when faced with the prospect of fighting for his place, he chose to stay home. Johnson isn't the only LIV Golf player to pull out. Carlos Ortiz has also withdrawn from the qualifying event at Dundonald Links. David Puig, the young Spaniard widely considered a major contender of the future, is no longer in the field at Royal Cinque Ports. 3 LIV players, all of whom could have qualified, had decided not to even try. The decisions are especially curious given LIV's current predicament. In April, Saudi Arabia's public investment fund confirmed it would pull its funding after the 2026 season. The league is scrambling to find new investors, with its future hanging in the balance. According to reports, final 4 LIV tournaments of the year stand at risk of being canceled as funding could dry up even earlier than expected. An executive at a LIV partner told Front Office Sports, "Every remaining tournament is on the fence." For players like Johnson, who signed massive contracts to leave the PGA Tour, the future is suddenly uncertain. His major exemptions have been drying up since he joined LIV in 2022. His 5-year Masters exemption from his 2020 win has expired, and his ranking has fallen sharply because LIV events don't carry world ranking points. Without LIV, and without a path back to the PGA Tour, Johnson faces becoming a man without a country, as Alan Shipnuck described Phil Mickelson's predicament. The withdrawals are nothing short of embarrassing for LIV Golf. Throughout the league's history, there have been accusations that its players have lost motivation after receiving guaranteed money. Johnson's decision not to even try to qualify for the Open plays directly into that narrative. It's also a blow to LIV's credibility. Johnson was the league's last hope of having a player make the cut at every single major in 2026. Now, not one LIV player will have made the cut in all 4 majors this season. We have come some way since Scott O'Neill claimed in Adelaide that LIV is the home of the best players in the world. The contrast with the PGA Tour couldn't be starker. Players like Scottie Scheffler, Victor Hovland, and Wyndham Clark are battling week in and week out, fighting for their place in history. They're grinding through qualifying, playing through injuries, and showing up when it matters most. Johnson, meanwhile, couldn't be bothered to fly to Scotland. The future of LIV Golf is now in serious doubt. The public investment fund's decision to pull funding has left the league scrambling for new investors. According to reports, Yasser Al-Rumayyan, the PIF governor who helped create LIV Golf, is no longer listed as the chairman. The league has postponed a tournament in Louisiana, and its remaining events are uncertain. For players like Johnson, the options are limited. A return to the PGA Tour would come with significant penalties. Brooks Koepka was able to make a swift return due to being a recent major champion, but he had to accept financial penalties levied by the PGA Tour. Patrick Reed is currently serving a 1-year suspension. Older players like Phil Mickelson and Lee Westwood could potentially join the PGA Tour champions, but even that path comes with consequences. Johnson's decision to skip open qualifying raises serious questions about his future. If he's not willing to travel to Scotland to play 36 holes in the hope of qualifying for a major, it's hard to see how he would be prepared to spend at least a year playing on the Corn Ferry Tour or serving a suspension to return to the PGA Tour. There's also a sense of betrayal. The Open Championship is golf's oldest major, a tournament steeped in history and tradition. For a player of Johnson's caliber to withdraw from qualifying because it was too much hassle feels like a slap in the face to the game's heritage. Compare Johnson's decision to the likes of Sergio Garcia, who remains listed to play in qualifying at West Lancashire, or Danny Willett and Matt Wallace, who are also fighting for their place. These are players who understand what the Open means. They know that earning a place in the field is a privilege, not a right. Johnson, it seems, has forgotten that. His decision also reflects a broader issue in professional golf. The Saudi money that lured players away from the PGA Tour has created a generation of golfers who are more concerned with their bank balances than their legacies. Johnson, once one of the most feared players on the planet, has become a cautionary tale of what happens when greed takes precedence over greatness. Dustin Johnson is one of the most talented golfers of his generation. 2 majors, 24 PGA Tour wins, a former world number 1, a Ryder Cup legend. His legacy should be secure, but his decision to skip the Open qualifying has tarnished that legacy. The questions now are impossible to ignore. Is Johnson's heart still in professional golf, or has he already checked out? Can LIV Golf survive without its biggest names? And what does this exodus say about the state of the sport, where the line between athlete and mercenary has never been blurrier? One thing is certain. The man who once won the U.S. Open, the PGA Championship, and the WGC Mexico Championship will not be at Royal Birkdale. And for the first time in 17 years, the claret jug will be contested without him.